Hello there, good evening, welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you back to the channel here for a wee catch up because it's been a wee while since we've been on. As you can see, three faces on the screen, and it's the familiar faces. Paddy Boy, my right hand man, and down below, the newest balded, bearded brother added to the channel is Joe Donnelly. And guys, even in the run up to a Glasgow Derby, there's actually quite a few various things to talk about. Nothing too juicy, nothing too exciting, but there's various things that have come out there, and of course we will get in about it. But before we crack on this lovely Thursday night, how are you guys keeping?
Absolutely brilliant, mate. I'll go first. Just had a fantastic steak dinner. The wife absolutely outdone herself, man. Honestly, unreal. Absolutely fantastic. Listen, mate, the steaks were for Aldi, but by God, they were brilliant. Absolutely incredible. There are other shops out there, I must add as well. But no, listen, brilliant. Alcohol-free Corona just to take the wee edge off. Getting myself ready for Sunday, Steve, for the barbecue. That'll be
absolutely the CWO barbecue. It could be carnage, but I'm sure it'll be good. And yourself, Joe, how are you, mate?
I'm all good. I've been working late every night this week though, so if you see my eyes drooping, then don't worry about it. I'm just having a wee power nap.
There'll be nothing like that. Nothing like Celtic to perk you up.
Exactly. I've not been lucky enough to have dinner yet, but I certainly have started on these, and they are not the alcohol-free, I'm afraid.
Well, I'd love to say I'm joining you, but I've got the water because I've got work later on. But there you go. Anyway, let's crack on, guys. As we say, welcome back to the channel. We'll do the wee housekeeping start. As you know long by now the score. If you like what you see in here, give it the thumbs up. If you want to help out, share it, extend the reach, grow the channel. The numbers are churning away. Thank you. If you want to help put it all together, you can, and you can become a member. Totally optional, $1.99, wee donation there, such as Brown Warrior. Welcome to yourself, mate. And of course, Big Rab also in the members there. You can put that together. Helps you all this running off things, and obviously we'll to bring something back your way as well. You can get us on the socials. It's X at CWO Pods, the main one. Paddy does the TikTok. There's that Blue Sky. We don't know how we feel about that one yet. And of course, you can get Spotify on the move. So, guys, let's get down to business because there's various things to talk about. Of course, there's that game to look forward to at the end of the week, but it's been a bit of a sort of general news thing that's come out. A lot of good things going on at Celtic at the moment. Double winners, leagues over the line, past couple of games have been firing all cylinders, hitting the net left, right and centre. And of course, the goodwill and the good news extends off the pitch as well. And let's dive in. Let's get straight into the commercial side of things, shall we? Because, as we well know, there's been a kit reveal. It was 8 o'clock in the morning, but everybody gets it early. We know that, and we'll bring that up. And of course, we've announced that we're getting this new Adidas deal. So, if Adidas tops aren't your bag, if you've not been falling in love with the designs, then strap yourself in because we have announced a long-term extension. I believe it is around about 10 years. Yes, so strap yourself in. I'm going to be 50 and cutting about in Adidas Celtic cover. That's mental. And I believe the fee is said to be about £30 million. Now that's the Red Tops that are revealing that. Celtic have just said it's a long-term deal, but they've come out and says around about 30 million. As we know, Celtic are one of the now elite clubs where you'll get more bespoke designs. You'll get the trefoil tops, a wee bit more retro vintage look, and everything else in between. But you want to illustrate Celtic's sort of appeal, money making, the juggernaut that it is, Paddy, then the Adidas deal is a good jump off point, is it no?
Oh, 100%. You said before, like, they've become one of the elite clubs now, and that does entitle us to all the other clobber that comes with it. I'm hoping they bring out a nice, decent pair of trainers because I've only got my Adidas Dublins at the minute. They're the green and white ones. Honestly, I'm the Celtic guy. You've said it before, Steve. Like, if there's any Celtic memorabilia or Celtic tops coming out of me, I'm sitting here wearing this one. I've got the top underneath it that matches it. I'm brutal for it. You're the top geek. You save the tops up. I just buy anything that comes out. I didn't buy the one that they had Lustig wearing though. Remember the kind of look like a rugby top. And I've not bought the one that they had Nicholas Kuhn wearing, the kind of one that looked like it had crazy writing on it. I didn't really fancy that, but other than that, I've pretty much got the rest. So listen, 10 years for Adidas for me is decent. The money is granted. They know they'll make money off it. They know Celtic is a massive brand. So it's a no-brainer for them. I personally, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media over the last couple of days once the strip's been released and stuff. A lot of people saying a lot of negatives about it. You obviously commented as well, Steve, and said it looked very much like a previous top, which we will get to.
Yes.
And I can see that, but where do you go with the hoops? For me, the hoops should always be the same. Do you know what I mean? You get two tops behind you there, two absolutely fantastic hoops tops. But it changes a little bit every single year. We'll still buy it. Do you know what I mean? We'll still go out there and buy it. It doesn't matter what it looks like.
I mean, it's funny. We'll talk about I call it the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tap, right? Nobody liked it. It was much maligned, and it's one of Celtic's best-selling, funnily enough, actually. There you go. So, I mean, in terms of this, but see the sheer numbers of this, Joe, if it is reported to be 30 million, right, that's just a jump-off point. £3 million a year, if you chop that up over that 10 years, it doesn't actually seem like that much, does it, for where we are in the amount of output? But are we more thinking that's just to get that security, but when we know what we can generate from the actual sales of the merchandise on top of just the chunk of money at each start of the season?
Yeah, that's it. Like, at the end of the day, a deal's a deal when it comes to those side of things. It will come through the door at whatever figure it is. It obviously had to be a strong bid in comparison to competitors, New Balance or whoever else. So we had to have taken that into consideration. So it's obviously been a strong enough bid. The fact of the matter that Adidas are such a large company anyway, that if they're selling it through official sites and official vendors and everything too, all over the world, not just within select countries and everything too, then, you know, it's a brand recognition thing when it comes to it as well. So I don't have any qualms about that at all. Breaking it down into 3 million a year, yeah, it might not sound like a lot, but sales wise, as we know, we'll do very, very well out of, again, worldwide as well. There's not a place in the world that you can go on holiday and you wear a Celtic top and someone will go, Celtic.
We'll see with that. I just want to touch on it. Some of the comments. Let us know what you think about this sort of idea being tied in. What have you thought of Adidas so far? If you let us know what you think in the comments. What do you think a 10-year deal? Steve-O's come in hot and he says that it's a nonsense to tie yourself into that. Where are you at with that, Paddy? You've got the two sides of the scale, haven't you? You've got its long-term security with arguably one of the top two, if not top three, depends on what your favourite is, you know what I mean? Apples or oranges, do you like Nike, do you like Adidas, what do you prefer? But undoubtedly one of the absolute powerhouses of sportswear. So you're up there, you've got 10 years, you've got absolutely long-term security. You know, in terms of your financials of what you're going to be selling, it's actually ridiculous. I think we're churning out maybe about 10 different ranges a season when you take home, away, third, goalkeeper, everything else in between. So there is a lot of money there. Do you think this is one of these ones, as we said, is it too good to be true? Because if you're talking, let's just say 30 million, it isn't really too good to be true. But if you've maybe got the actual hard numbers behind you, you know the potential for the growth. If Celtic jumped the gun a wee bit early and just committed and they've maybe put themselves out of a potential bidding war to get something better, or is it better the devil you know, mate?
I think they should have held off for Tom Ford or Gucci or something like that. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers has got his wee hand in there, but I fully agree with Steve. Well, I think 10 years is an absolutely cracking deal. There he is, the Gucci boss. I think it's a cracking deal. Adidas don't hand out 10-year deals like that either. It's not the done thing. So they obviously see the potential there, and like you say, sometimes it is better the devil you know. Yes, we've had previous tops, we've had Nike tops, we've had New Balance tops, and you can argue amongst ourselves. We could say, oh, they make the best tops, blah, blah. For me, it was probably Umbro. I love the Umbro kits. I think every single one of them are absolute dynamite. Now, am I saying let's go with Umbro again? No. There's difference. It's a difference in class. It's a difference in management. It's a difference in, like you said, business, Steve. They're the biggest people out there. Nike and Adidas are the two biggest makes out there in sportswear. And for me, it's between the two.
See, jump in on that, Paddy, and obviously get you down as well, Joe, on this. The one thing that I would slightly criticise from the Adidas thing, undoubtedly, we are one of their top sellers. That's why we've been catapulted into that elite club thing. There's some other teams that are in that bracket that are probably just by default, let's be honest, because of where they're playing the Premier League. And I'm looking at the likes of, your Aston Villa and that are kind of, they're a big club historically, right? But in terms of where they are, it's more because of They're in the Premier League, they've been in the Champions League, so they get catapulted up. There's no doubt that Celtic's worldwide appeal is huge, but one thing that have been getting criticised, and I've seen this on, social media, people have been talking about it when the merchandising has been coming up. Other podcasts have mentioned it as well, where one thing that I think it would be a deal breaker for me with this long-term deal with Adidas is we need to be pushing the envelope, we need to be forcing them to get our faces right front and centre internationally. Yeah. Yes, you can go abroad, and we've all seen the home tops and stuff getting sold early in America and stuff. However, you've got, stores, particularly look at the likes of Japan at the moment, where it's absolutely rip-roaring with the sort of like Maeda hype and all, Hitachi and things like that. We should be front and centre in Adidas stores. One of the first things that you see, same with America, no matter where you go, and it doesn't at the moment seem to be that we've got that same push as if you walk in, you're guaranteed you're probably going to get hit with a Man United top straight in your face or a Liverpool. For you, is that important for us to force that issue, Joe?
I actually think that that's the reasoning behind such a big deal and such a long-term deal as well, where you're saying there maybe Japan is not an untapped market, but not as big of a market for Adidas. So maybe that's why they have came in so strong and came in for so long as well. Maybe they're thinking, right, we do need to and want to get that front and centre. Let's get the local celebs as best we can, Everyone knows that a local person or local country person especially will bring in the numbers. As I've said before, I'm a huge Formula One fan. When you see the likes of Max Verstappen going back to Holland, it's madness, the sort of sea of people and the sea of Red Bull merchandise because he drives for them. So that is exactly what I think Adidas are doing here. I think they're really trying to tap into the specific local markets. So the Japanese markets and even America as well, with the likes of Carter Vickers, in Canada with Alistair Johnston as well. These are some of the biggest areas that they're going to sell these tops, no matter what. So why would they not try and capitalise on it as much as possible for as long as possible? So that's my thoughts on it, certainly.
And I think I'm glad you mentioned that about sort of over in Japan. It's kind of Japan's obviously from a player market is something that Ange knew and he was well versed in. We jumped into it and we done that. When we look further back, even with the likes of Nakamura, we tried it with Koki Mizuno and the likes. We didn't really grasp it with two hands and go for it because don't want to sort of like get down a route of sort of like stereotyping any sort of like societies and stuff. But as we well know, as you says, they're homegrown heroes. We see the attention that is bringing from Maeda, from when Kyogo was here, from obviously Ryo Hatate, and they'll buy hook, line and sinker into their heroes playing for a team, and with all the history and everything in Celtic there, you've got a ready-made market to go and do it. And I think that we've been getting a lot of attention. We've seen a lot of added tourism. We've seen a lot of, we've got like the Celtic FC Japan site and things like that. So we're really good going for that sort of standpoint. I think it's time we just push that a wee bit further. And it's really, we're sitting here looking at the financials and how well Celtic have been, hitting their targets with Adidas. And a lot of that will be, let's be honest, from back in Britain. We can extend that. The growth could be exponential, but clearly we're doing something right. 10 years we want to keep it about. And again, we've also announced that there'll be the new Celtic store in Glasgow City Centre. It's going to be a 2-floor number. It's going to be bigger than the original site. So from a commercial standpoint, things are booming for Celtic, Paddy.
Yeah, 100%, mate. The wee store in Argyle Street's been there for a long time now. It's about time it had a wee revamp. So a bigger Celtic store for me in Glasgow. Yeah.
It's your worst nightmare and best.
I know a worst nightmare for me because I was paying a bloody fortune, but I'm buzzing for it, mate.
Yeah. No, but as we say, that's the sort of first thing that's come out, and it's always good to see that we've got that there. The main thing that's going to be down is we're bringing a lot of money for loads of different sort of angles. Are we going to start spending it now? This brings us on to obviously the big chat around about in the summer and reinforcements and things like that. Now, one thing that we didn't want to hear was certain teams sniffing around our key players. Now, again, we take everything with a pinch of salt right now at this moment in time. The silly season's about to kick in, and this is it here. And it looks as if we are getting joined here by an additional guest. Bring them in. Hello.
Hey.
How we doing? And we're joined by Robert Alden, the bold Pat McGinley, guys. How you
Good
doing?
evening, guys. Good evening.
Good evening, boys.
Doing a wee run in there, eh? Doing a wee run in. Good to see yous.
Good to see you again, guys.
Absolutely. We've just been talking, I don't know if you've been caught up there, guys, but we're just initially talking about the Adidas commercial deal that's been extended now. So it's supposed to be 10-year, circa about 30 million are talking. We've obviously got the new store opening up as well in Glasgow. Things are doing right good for Celtic from a commercial standpoint, innit?
Absolutely. It starts on the park, though, doesn't it? They need it goes hand in hand. You get the results on the park, and then people want to go and join and spend money. And obviously, the European runs get the attraction as well. So it's all going in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Never had that when he was playing.
Change days, eh? Change days. That's what we're saying. Everybody's got a soft spot. I know I certainly have, an old Paddy has, to those Umbro tops that you'd be playing in, Pat. But it's incredible, isn't it? You think about some of the sponsors, even, from C.R. Smith to Umbro to some of the signboards that were around the old Parkhead. It's night and day to the stuff that we're seeing now, isn't it?
Me and Robert were at a show a couple of weeks ago for the Celtic history, and we're going through all the stories, and they're talking about the time when I was actually playing, and it was unbelievable that Mark McGlone and Fergus McCann and all this sort of stuff. It was unbelievable. It'd be like retro now, so it's brilliant.
Retro's good. We like retro.
We like retro, definitely.
We're retro. We're definitely retro.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, there's nothing wrong with retro. Retro's in. We're all of an age here, aren't we? That's what I'm saying. Like, by the time this deal finishes, I'm going to be 50 when this new Adidas deal finishes. I can't believe that. Make me feel old. But we were talking about how the income, and it's all about putting on at the park. It's fine and well having these things and getting the money in. You've got to spend it in the pitch, as well as protecting assets. We need to look at adding to it. And this comes round, guys. The first wee rumours that have come around, probably the ones that we were worried about, was the talk, and it is just talk, which says be pinch of salt and all that Maeda, of course, what a season he's having, easily going to be player of the year, definitely for us. I'd imagine the players will vote him. I imagine the hacks will vote for him as well. But if it's to be believed, he's apparently gaining some interest from various Premier League teams. Now, the source is one of these ones it's got enough numbers behind it on social media, but at the same time, it's not one that comes around. And it's Asashi Pisani, and he quoted the TBR Football to say that supposedly, and take that as I find it, supposedly, it's Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea and Spurs have apparently been interested in looking at Maeda. The Spurs one, Robert, I could understand with that historic Ange link. But if we're being totally honest, if he doesn't win the Europa League, and even if he does, Ange could be out on his arse, as they say. But Maeda, they're talking maybe up to £25 million. Celtic's historic buying and selling during the transfer window, we've spent good money, but we've always managed to post a profit, and it's came off the back of selling big assets. Where are you with this one, Robert? I mean, we can't let Maeda go at all, can we?
I don't think so. I mean, the season he's had has been absolutely fantastic, but this is his standout season, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But I mean, knowing Celtic though, we will sell if the money's right. We'll sell. We done it with Tierney, done it with even Kyogo last season. This season, sorry. But and that was a strange one for me, letting Kyogo go when there's still so much to play for. Yeah. But the money was right. So in Scotland, unfortunately, it's every club. If the money's right, they need to take it, and Celtic's not any different.
I think if you get 25 to 30 million from Maeda, you're taking it all day long.
Absolutely.
The thing I agree with is if you get rid of Atati, who I think it makes the whole team tick. And I think if you lose him, you lose a big part of the team. Obviously, Bennett's having a great season again, but if you lose Atati, you're struggling big time with him.
Me and you're going to get on well, Pat. I can see it right now, mate. Atati's my man. I'm on here every single week, champion him.
Myself, that way.
Aye.
See, just the first time anybody's ever said that.
My wife Margaret never says that.
See, just to follow up on that there, Pat, because that's what you brought Maeda into the mix there, and we've sat there, and as we say, Paddy, listen, that's his guy down below. Joe's man is James Forrest, right? So let's not start talking about them. But I think for the longest period, Maeda was always the guy that we kind of suspected had maybe came his natural end his time at Celtic. Form's a wee bit up and down. He really looks the past couple of games like he's got the bit between his teeth. He's been in the media, he's been talking about wanting to push on, sprint over the line, strong finish and kicking on. So he sounds like he's back in a right good positive place. There's obviously cautionary tales when he looks at players that have left. Jota went away, Jota came back, Kyogo's went, and he's in no man's land. But see, with, as you say, he does make his tick, and he does make his tick, particularly when he's on it. But Maeda, as you say, I reckon on his current form, and not just the form, but the whole package of what he brings, you know, that energy and the whole all-round game. I've never seen many players that are like that. But with Hatate, with his form being up and down, what could somebody like him be worth at this moment in time, do you think, like realistically? Because early on we were shouting similarly 20-25 million. Do you think he would still be in that bracket?
I don't know if Hatate's in that bracket as Maeda just now, but I think potentially he could be one of the highest paid. Obviously getting that money for him as well would be fantastic. But I think Hatate's a much better player than Maeda. But Maeda right now is playing top his form, and I think when a player's playing like that, he looks as if he's playing for a move. And if you're going to the Premiership, you're not going to knock that back.
Yeah, you can have said that, Steve-O, about Kuhn half a dozen games ago.
Yeah.
His skin, and we couldn't play without him. And then all of a sudden, James Forrest is back in because he went off the boil. But just to bring the Maeda one for me is he terrorises teams when he's on the wing. And I know he plays up through the middle for Japan, and he's done it for us a few times. But for me, he's a winger, and that's only my opinion, right enough. But he terrorises them up the wing. And he nullifies them going forward. So if you're talking about the old firm, you can't get forward when Maeda's playing it outside left, which is even more important.
And he terrorises Avenir, doesn't he?
He's completely invaluable. I mean, Paddy, in terms of this, if there is any reality in this Maeda thing now, of course, when you read these stories and you read these sort of press reports, the way they've tried to spin it is, we know that he had the conversation and he asked them about his contract situation. He was quoted and he says, "I'm not sure at the moment." Now, that's been, again, like anything, you can take something, you write it in context, and you can write a story around it. So that's what they've kind of leaned on, that he's uncertain. They've tried to pitch it at this, he might go, he doesn't know what's happening. I think when we actually cast our mind back to that, he's basically wanting to finish out the season, concentrate on football at this moment in time, and then address that. Some people are a wee bit worried about that. They'd rather it was right now, but I suppose you've got to honour the players' wishes. You know, Maeda, we've sat here before, Paddy, and we've said that we think that he's the kind of guy who's so settled in that he won't want to leave, right? We hear what Pat's saying, that if that kind of money comes in, we'll take it. We've also heard as well, when Brian was on last week, he was saying if a player's been sold, it's probably going to be removed from their hands. It's going to be a business decision rather than a team decision. Do you have any genuine worries around the Maeda thing? I mean, Hatate is, I wouldn't say neither here nor there, but that would seem expected, and maybe, you know, you could come to terms with it a wee bit, but I don't think we're ready for Maeda, mate.
You don't have a season like Maeda's had and not attract attention. It's as simple as that. He's been outstanding for us. We sold Kyogo. We came into a part of the season that we were really struggling. We had Adamida as our backup striker, who, in my opinion, wasn't really up to the mark. Dyson stepped in there and he's been banging the goals in ever since. He's been the man. He's been our go-to guy. So can we afford to lose him now? Probably not. Do I think he wants to leave? No. I think he's happy there. I think his family are happy. I think everything's going well for him at Celtic. So sometimes you might take a look at Kyogo. It's better the devil you know. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. So for me, I think Dyson needs to reassess what he wants. And if he's quite happy at Celtic, as he seems to be, and his family are happy, we've been there. Me and Joe have sat in front of them. They sit just in the director's box behind the main stand. We've sat just in front of them, and they're absolutely brilliant. They're bouncing about in their seats, and his kids are just smiling all the time, and it's nice to see. Do you know what I mean? That's what football's all about. And yeah, I don't think we'll lose him. I don't think we can afford to lose him as well. So yeah, fingers crossed. We
jump in here. I think if Maeda does go, I think Brendan's the best man for the job, and I think if Maeda does go, Brendan will have something up his sleeve to bring somebody else in without a shadow of a doubt. I think to fair to big Adamida, I think he's been a wee bit unlucky. He didn't look a bit But I think if he gets a wee run of games, I think he could be actually okay. I think he does well when he comes in and looks powerful and strong when he's fit. But apart from that, I know he's trying to get up to speed with the rest of the team, but I think he's got a wee chance.
Is the Jota one I worry a wee bit about? I love him like that.
I mean, we're not really had any firm sort of update on that. I think when you actually look at it, it was one of those ones where he's grounded his foot with the studs and it's kind of twisted through. So I reckon just looking at that, I wouldn't want to force through. We had this conversation last time we were out. I wouldn't want to force through Jota at all. No disrespect to any of the games and the teams that we've got to play between now and the end of the season, including that final against Aberdeen. But the reality is, let's take the weekend's game in isolation. Of course, you want to have your best players around for that, and you want to have the options right. But even when you remove him, as you say, guys, with James Forrest coming back in and showing that bit of form, you feel a wee bit better. You feel a wee bit more at ease. With Kuhn bouncing back with a good performance, with Ida, coming back and having a good out in there, things are looking a wee bit better. So tomorrow's game in isolation, I think, the weekend's game in isolation, you maybe say, a bit of loss there. But looking at the Aberdeen final, I don't even think you need him there. So I would much rather that we just wrap him up in cotton wool. If he needs any sort of surgery or recuperation treatment, you give him that and you get him up and running rather than taking the risks. You know what I mean?
100%. Listen, coming into the weekend, I think Adam Ida has to start. He's got to be the main striker. I think that his numbers, when you look at his numbers, they're actually all right. They're not too bad. I seen a thing the other day and I was watching it and I thought, you know what? Given the amount of minutes that he's played, his goal ratio is actually not too bad. And I know we've been giving him a lot of stick because he sometimes looks like he doesn't really care and he's not as fast and as agile as Daizen Maeda. He's not going to do the press that Maeda does. He's not going to be running for every ball, but he's instinctive and he knows where the back of the net is. And you've seen his goals the other day.
I think if you put Maeda against Tavernier, I think Tavernier's already having nightmares, isn't he? You're nullifying Tavernier's crossing ability and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, the last couple of games we've been poor against them as well. So you're hoping we've got a point to prove that we're actually going to come there and get a good result.
Yes. I mean, absolutely, we need that bit between the teeth to absolutely go out there and chase them down.
Yeah. I mean, see, in terms of just whilst we're on the sort of striker situation, we're talking about Ida, we're talking about Maeda, and as we say, the Maeda thing, a rumour, the Hatate thing, a rumour that these guys might move on. We've always been talking about the need to bring somebody in. When Kyogo went, strange one, we always thought, we'll get in another striker, guaranteed. We've got that games at the Champions League against Bayern Munich. We'll get somebody in for that. We'll get somebody to help us further down the line and just getting this run in. We've got a title over the line now, but making that a lot easier for us. The one name that keep coming about, and there's a wee bit that came out there, was the Matthias Christegaard. And again, a name that it feels like forever and a day that we've been linked with this guy. Best bet of 2 seasons now. It looks as if this summer is going to be the actual point where Brøndby decide to let him go. Let him free the nest, and again, you take it as you find it, but there's been chat from their pundits, football pundits over there, that the chat around Christegaard, it looks as if this is going to be the season, the summer that they let him go, and the chat being of the fee that will be opening gambit to get talks moving is in the pocket about 10.5 to 11 million pound. Now, Joe, that's big money. We've spent big money on Ida. I say big money, small money in world football terms, small money in terms of what we really probably should be getting out regularly spending on players. We went spent big on Engels as well. Coming back to my point, what I say is about how Celtic normally do their transfer business. Yeah. We always come away with a net profit. We've never spent more than we've brought in. Maeda, as Pat says, if you take that money and they dangle that carrot, could the club take it? Yeah. If this is a guy that we're seriously interested in, and 11 million's the talk there, do you see Celtic going out and pulling that trigger while still having Ida and Maeda in the house? And in fact, not just that, but not having sold anybody?
Yeah, I can't see them not selling anyone at all to pull the trigger on that, in all honesty. And I would think that if there was going to be a trigger pull on anyone, that actually it would be either Ida or Hatate. But, that it's all speculation at the end of the day. I would really like to hope that Brendan wouldn't get rid of Maeda. I don't think it's going to happen. As Paddy said, I think he is quite settled and happy here. It is a big thing, not only for any player, but in their culture as well. I think that being settled and happy and being a family unit is really quite a big thing. That being said, loyalty to the husband's decision is also a big thing in their culture too. So, that it's a very difficult situation that it kind of puts us in when you're speculating the possibility of him going to the Premier League. Yes, it would be fantastic. He isn't as young of a man as he would maybe want to be to go into the Prem though as well. I think if he peaked 4 years ago the way he has now, there would be a different story we'd be telling. So
I think, guys, I think the allure of the Premiership. I don't think any player was going to knock that back playing in Scotland.
Yeah.
We're going to go there. I think I think Ange, if he keeps his job and he comes in for Maeda, I think that would be a massive pull.
Yeah.
He knows the manager, he knows where he's going to be settled, and I think that'd be a massive pull for Maeda.
I do get that, yeah.
We'll see on that, as we say, Pat, just to get your opinion. You mentioned Eden, obviously, like what you're saying, you still think that he's got to get himself up to speed. The question's been brought in here by McLaughlin, and he's basically saying if we were to keep these guys that are showing the interest or that seem the most likely candidates that teams would want to get, Maeda, Hatate, Kuhn, Johnson, Carter, Vickers, if Celtic weren't going to sell a big asset, realistically, what do you think they could spend, or what should they spend? What would this, from your perspective, Pat, would the Celtic need to go to that next level next season?
Well, I think Brendan's already spoke about it. I think they know they're in that Champions League sort of middle ground, and now I think they're looking to go that wee step again. So to get rid of one of your better players is defeating the purpose a wee bit. So if they're going to keep everybody, it's a massive gamble to go and buy the guy you're speaking about at Brondby 10, 11 million without putting somebody out the door. I don't think that's going to happen with Celtic.
But the other thing is they need to keep Brendan happy.
Aye, without a doubt.
Brendan's got big aspirations of where he can take the team, so that will not involve selling somebody and buying somebody that's not proven like Maeda's proven, and buying somebody. So if we're serious, which I think we are now, I can see us adding to answer the question. Is I can see us keeping the guys as much as possible and adding to the squad.
I mean, Paddy, see with that, obviously we need to add, and I think what we're forgetting here is when we look back to last summer, we managed to trim a lot of the excess fat and bring in fees for guys that were, let's be honest, a wee bit considered unfashionable. Good money for surprisingly good money for the likes of Boston Lyle. When you look around what we've got in that squad, right, you've got your Narotskis, doesn't look like that's going to happen there. You've got Welsh has been out, we'll see how that one pans out. There's still a few players that you could write off, if you want to call it that, and move on. Do you think we'll see that same approach maybe even this summer, Paddy, where we try to get rid of the excess in the first end, see what that generates in, and then maybe the conversation starts having, and if the conversation was any of those names on there, if you were to pick one, just one, that you would let go, what would you do, mate?
I think we will do, as you said, Steve, we'll trim the fat. I think that's kind of the way Celtic like to run the books. We're obviously a very well-run club when it comes to stuff like that. If you'd asked me that last year when we had James McCarthy on the books for 4 years, taking 40 grand a week and doing nothing, I'd probably disagreed with you. But getting guys like him off the books and like Tomoki Iwata, who's having an absolute worldie of a season, and other lads like Bosun Law, Burnaby, do you know what I mean? There was quite a lot of them that we got off of the book. So yeah, looking at the squad this season, there's a few people there you could maybe trim down and get out the door. Scott Bain possibly. Nah, he's there for the season.
You have no chance. You have no chance to move from the Bain. The Bainiacs go nowhere.
I know the DJ. It's a sore one. I don't think we could afford to really lose many of the players. We've done really well in the Champions League, and I think that's Brendan's ambition with Celtic. I think he wants to be the most successful Celtic manager when it comes to European football, and that probably still stands with obviously like Jock Stein, or other than Jock Stein, like probably Neil Lennon or Gordon Strachan, Martin O'Neill kind of era. He wants to be up there with these kind of guys when they had massive performances in Europe. Brendan hasn't really had that with Celtic because I feel like he hasn't had his own way with investments and stuff. And if we were looking at bringing players in, obviously we've been like with Fistegard so many times. Like if you keep saying something is going to happen, then it will. I disagree, but I don't know what the deal is with this guy. I think you should be looking at more proven guys. Look at the boy Dalby that's at United. Sam Dalby, when has he got 14 this season, 13 this season in the league? Absolutely banging him in.
I think you're skating about dodgy water if you're talking Dalby, mate. We've seen this before. There is the step up. No disrespect to Dalby. I think there is the step up. Dare I say Nadir Chiefji, you know, like banging them in and then was tripe to put
Celtic legend Nadir Chiefji.
Can I just get back to that thing as well? Like, I was going to Smithy Barn Partick and get all my pals to tout my name for Celtic, so it worked for me.
it might work, exactly. You give it a tail there to think to work that one out. But no, I think we really need to be looking at it. And Drew says, I've already said rightfully so, Brendan Rodgers is guaranteed at 100, 200%, and so on. Next week it'll be 300%, 400%. He's going to be here next season. That's it. And it's that balancing act for the club. We need to, I think there could be a cautionary tale. We always say, keep your squad together. I think we've got a very good squad and we've got a lot of good players. However, they keep the squad together the last time. I know the situation was different. It was the ill-fated 10 in a row season where we held on to the best players. So I do genuinely think that if there is one player in particular that maybe wanted to go, you have got to cast them free. You've got to just suck that up and move on and keep evolving. But the Champions League, we're going to be in the qualifiers, a playoff situation. I think we've got to look at it. And I would like to see Celtic do things in reverse this time. Yes, try and get rid of the excess periphery guys on the squad, but buy somebody in early. Because probably, as we've learned, when you sell an asset, and I'm not wanting to sell them, but let's just say that was Maeda and you're -1 striker. Well, you're actually -2. Teams know that. So say it as Christegard and you want, see that 10 million, that could become 13, 14 because they know you need it.
Yeah.
Buy whoever it is you want whilst your squad is still intact. So there's no weakness. You look as if you're just adding to an already strong side where you can almost play that bit of bargaining and, you know, dealing with them where you're not saying we don't want them, but it's saying, look, we ain't desperate. This is what we're all. We seems like a good addition to our team. Whereas if you sell somebody, you're going, we really need them. We need them because we need a new, you know. So it changes, and I think
I'll tell you the two names for me that will pop up and may upset some folk as well. That could possibly even be trimming the fat. First one you will not like, Steve-O, is Bernardo.
Oh,
and the second one is Luke McCowan.
Nah, see, these
I'm
boys
going
have
to be
been
very
brought
controversial in saying that, but
you're drunk, by the way. You're steaming.
I am definitely not. Definitely not. Listen, Luke McCowan's performances have not been good at all. I think you can count on easily on the one hand any performances that have been okay from him.
Mm-hmm.
Bernardo hasn't had a lot of games.
So
I think he's trying too hard.
Yeah, I think he's trying too hard, making too many mistakes.
Bernardo, I think Luke McCowan's trying too hard. I think he's a great player. I think the boy's got a chance, but I think he just looks sometimes he's trying to just do that wee bit too much.
It's panic play. I really think it's panic play, Pat, 100%. It's scary when you see him out in the pitch sometimes. So it really, I'm sad about it because I think he has the potential, like you say, to be a great player. But I won't stop going in on him until, you know, I see a performance that I'm happy with.
Joe's a man that's been in that Luke McCowan situation to get to play for the team you want to play for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the door. Not you, Joe. You don't play. You never played for Celtic.
No.
You never play for Celtic.
Never.
Joe Donnelly, right?
No, I've not got the back or the legs for it.
Have, you know, right? So, Joe, if you haven't been there in that position, right, where you get the Joe McCowan, the Luke McCowan,
you're doing well, right?
The Luke McCowan situation where you find yourself at a club you want to play for, right? As you say, you see him a good player, you think he's maybe trying too hard. So see if you were a player and you were saying Bernardo's, we know he was injured, and I think we're doing the right by him. I think we're sort of slowly easing him back into the squad. Do you, Joe, see anything that Joe Donnelly's saying there about either of these two players? Because I don't see either wanting to either be moved on, certainly not McCowan, certainly not Bernardo. But what would your thoughts be if you were in both the players' positions now? Aye, yourself, Joe, yeah, aye.
Pat.
Me, sorry.
Pat, sorry.
You keep saying aye.
You're
Stephen. You're the one that's drunk.
You know what it is? I've got too many folk on my screen. I'm having a look. No, sorry, Pat. It's something
I think you have to have these players round about the team. I think you look at the boy Engels, who I thought started really, really well. Maybe went off the boil a wee bit, then he's coming back into the team. Callum sometimes I think needs a rest. I think he plays too much football. So I think we've got the boys like Bernardo and Luke McCowan, and I think if they just listen, the fans like these guys, you know that way. And if the fans like you, you've got a chance here. You know, as soon as the fans turn against you a wee bit, you're making that silly pass. You're not being as constant on the ball. You're not looking for it. But these boys have to be about the squad and get good minutes in the team as well.
My other sort of flip side to that as well was going to be, well, McCowan is also a Scottish lad, so he counts towards, your national team and everything as well. So I understand the possibility is lower for him to go because of these kind of things. Bernardo, I totally get that he's building back up. I'm disappointed, shall I say, then with performances.
Whoever we sell or whoever we get rid of, we need to bring in a player of the similar standard. We spoke about this so many times. It's getting rid of somebody and bringing in a like for like. Like when Celtic sold Pat, they brought in Tosh McKinley. Incredible player. So I mean, Tosh McKinley for me was one of my heroes growing up. He was of that 94 kind of team with Cadet and Van Hooijdonk and everybody else in there. So that for me was one of the ones. And obviously when you do lose a decent player in there, you've got to be replacing them with somebody decent as well. Who are you going to bring in to replace Dyson Maeda? Who do you know in the world at the minute that does what he does? There isn't anyone.
Right.
How much does a Dyson Maeda cost? That's the question, isn't it? I mean,
exactly.
But this is the thing. See, we actually look at the teams that we've seen under Brendan Rodgers. I don't think he's even at his other clubs, and I know that's big talk when you look at he's been at Liverpool, been at Leicester. I don't think he's had a player that does what Dyson Maeda does. He's maybe the guy that's been energetic, he's been, a good winger, or he's been fast, but I don't think he's had that almost complete package. Now, the complete package has only really came together this season, so let's be realistic here. That's not to say that's not going to continue. I think it will. I think he's now hit his peak and he's found what he should be as a footballer. But yeah, I don't think the manager's really had that. If it was last season's Maeda, as daft as that sounds, I think he would maybe be more open to the idea if that money was dangled about. But I think now when he sees that he's more than just a guy that runs down the wing and causes chaos, it puts a real sort of, thought into his head what I actually do here. But
it's a rock and a hard place.
That's a summer problem. That's a summer problem. It's long away. So anyway, cracking on and looking forward towards upcoming things. We'll touch on the game against Rangers a wee bit, but just one last thing to touch on, and I want the opinions on it. We spoke about the chat around about the media saying it's tedious, Celtic win, it's bad for the Scottish game, it's this, that, it's the next thing. We obviously heard that they were wanting to try and reinvent the wheel and somehow change the league format anyway down to like a 10-team thing, with the uproar about the Dundee United ticket pricing. And it comes back to this here then, guys. We hear that for the final, Aberdeen were offered their standard sort of 16,500. Says, no, we're confident, even though they couldn't do it at a semi-final, they want 20,000. They're taking 20,000, and basically what they're going to do is, if they don't sell them all, they are going to pay for the tickets. Rather than hand them back, rather than, I don't know, even give them away to fill the stand, they're going to pay for that, empty seats potentially. And again, the restructuring, it's in the bin. They can't do it. They don't want to do that. Come down yourself, Robert, on that. Scottish football seems to be shooting itself in the foot. Is this a bold move by Aberdeen? Is it the right move to sort of give their fans a chance? or does it just make a mockery and sort of say how Mickey Mouse the Scottish League has been a wee bit recently?
I think it's a bit of both, Steve-O. I mean, if I was the Aberdeen board, I could see a bit of logic behind it. But being obviously a Celtic fan, you think, well, why would they not sell it in the SFA and insisting on selling it or whatever? So I can see a wee bit of both. If I was an Aberdeen fan, I'd want the tickets and I'd want whatever I wanted for the best for Aberdeen. But for us, certainly for us, we'd want the extra tickets and get the stadium filled. And I'm sure the Aberdeen fans, the Aberdeen players would want a full stadium as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Pat, what do you think about the situation with the things? We've seen various teams cut an allocation. We've seen various teams failing to get anything that resembles a decent crowd, whether it's been going to away matches in the league or indeed we've seen in the games at Hampden, poor turnouts. You can understand why maybe some Celtic fans are saying it's an absolute joke. You turn up to your semi-final and it's a game against Hearts. It's not as if you're not playing, I don't know, like Kilmarnock or something. It's a decent game and you can't even fill up the stadium there. And they always talk about if the game was played in Peterhead, it'd be full. No, it's as if coming to bloody well Glasgow's the dark side of the moon. Well, I mean, where are you at with this one? With Aberdeen? Do you think they'll sell them out?
I think they will. I think they will. I think the only thing that you've got is travelling from Aberdeen for 20,000 at that time of kick-off. I think when I watch the TV, you're looking at the St Johnstone games, Kilmarnock games, and we're not getting Celtic and Rangers the tickets. I think it looks embarrassing. I think you've got one section and the next minute you've got 3 stands, like 5 guys and a dog sitting there. Do you know that way? You think, come on, guys, come on, just take the money and get the stadium looking good. It's on the television. People must be looking at the television and thinking, this is an absolute joke. Where is all the punters and
National final,
international final, or semi-final, whatever it is? Do you know what I mean? You have to fill it. You have to fill the seats.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's one of these ones. It's the first time, obviously, with the 2017, and that's what they're saying. Oh, it's a great opportunity to Scottish Cup final since 2017, and yeah, fair play, that day it was absolutely mobbed, but. Do you see them actually turning up? I don't think that. I think if they're getting out there, it could be very embarrassing for them if they take the 20,000 and it ends up costing their club for them no turning up, Paddy. But is this just as we say, just to brush over this one? Is this what do we need to do with the sort of reorganising Scottish football, making it look more of a spectacle? You know, as we say, we see the complaints about teams turning around and saying if you give away fans X amount of the stadium, we won't renew our season tickets. Yeah. Paddy, come on.
Biting off your nose to spite your face. Like Pat says there, you look at these stadiums, a third of their seats are empty. And it's ridiculous. As Celtic and Rangers will both sell out every single stadium in the country. No problem. The away support would be incredible. You see it going to Hibs and going to Hearts and whatever else. You can't get tickets for them. You can't get a ticket for an away game like that. And I'd rather see people in the seats. See if they don't want to give the seats to Celtic, give them to school kids. Get school kids involved in the football. Give them to some. I'm sure there's people out there that would be willing to go and watch it. That's how you make fans. That's how you get people involved. You imagine St Johnstone done that when they were sitting bottom of the league and got their fans in there to watch their team play against Celtic. Yeah, the young kids would probably be there to see them play Celtic, but St Johnstone won it. Yeah, the young fans would have left there going, "Oh man, I want to be a St Johnstone fan. That was brilliant." Do you know what I mean? And it's getting that wee bit in there. So I think it's a bit spiteful. It's a bit shit. If I'm being honest, it's a bit dodgy. I mean, it's just do the right thing. Do I think Aberdeen will take 20,000 to Hampden? Yes, I do, because you've got the glory hunters. They might not take 20,000 to a game every week. They certainly didn't to the semi-final. Hampden was empty for that one, but I think they'll turn up for the final because that's what they do. They come out of the woodwork. They're like the other side of Glasgow. As soon as anything goes wrong, they crawl out underneath the rock and they all get in there, and you know what they're like. So I think they'll take the 20,000. I know. Listen, I'm holding back.
You hold it. You bite your tongue, son.
They will be there. There'll be 20,000 Aberdeen fans at Hampden. I don't think they'll have to pay for any tickets.
I totally agree. I think they will actually either, if they don't fill it out, I think paying for them at the very least is the minimum that they could do, and I think it actually has to be a standard. Anyway,
but if you're paying for them, as we say, if you're paying for them because they're unsold, give them away.
Aye, that was the next point. Like Paddy said, give them to schools, give them to colleges and unis and whatever else it may be. And as Paddy said again, that's how you make fans.
And
That's
let more
100%
people
how you
fall in
get
love
someone.
with Celtic when they scud them.
Well,
Just on the Dundee United thing, guys, the pricing was shocking, wasn't it? How can they
Oh,
get
ridiculous.
I think it's stuck in the throat of the away fans because it was 42, 43 plus pounds, whereas if you were a Dundee, and I understand the initiative, it's a good initiative, but when you can trap up, if you're a season ticket holder and bring your pal for a tenner, or you can buy one, get one for a tenner just on general sale, it's going to rub you up. I think if clubs looked at doing that for every game, then they might not have the problem we've got here. But yeah, I think it'll always be teams taking advantage, and as we've discussed before, it's a rock and a hard place. Teams should be taking the opportunity, knowing that Celtic, Rangers, whoever it is, are going to fill up most of the stadium. But at the same time, don't go too far with getting in heavy on the pricing. But
I agree, and it wasn't just in Dundee United. Seemingly, Tesco put the price of tangerines up to $1.59. That's what was bang out of order.
But
I heard JD Sports footballs were on sale, though, so it's all good.
Mike Astley, being a good Celtic man, reduced the price of Bhoys so that more Celtic fans could buy them. But anyway,
if you look at the German league, let's have a look at the German league, right? The season ticket for Bayern Munich or something's like 200 quid in it. It's something ridiculous. And to get into a stadium out there, it's like you say, it's like 12 quid, 15 quid max to go to the games. And every single stadium in Germany's full every single week. And that's the way it should be. Doesn't matter if it's a team at the bottom of the league or a team at the top of the league. Absolutely. Every stadium's full for every single game. And
you can buy them along with your train ticket in Germany.
Yeah.
You remember when we were in Berlin? That blew my mind.
If you've got a match day ticket, you travel for free.
Aye. And if you bought your train ticket, you paid an extra €10 or something. It was very, very little.
You live in Fantasyland, right? You live in the UK.
I think
I just want to live in Germany.
Let's sort it. Let's get ScotRail involved.
ScotRail.
£5.70 for a return for Sunnyside to Queen Street. £25.70 for a ticket to the game. Brilliant. Get us in there.
No chance. Anyway, guys, let's get around the main event. Let's wrap this one up because it's all about the game at the weekend, isn't it? Now, titles in the bag, League Cup's in the bag, Scottish Cup's pending. Come straight in yourself, Pat, as a man who's been there, has done it, right? There's no such thing, absolutely no such thing as a dead rubber here. Now, depending on what side you want to sit on, some fans have says, doesn't matter, league's in the bag, that's all that matters. You never, ever, ever, I'm sure, definitely as a player, as a fan, as a manager, you can't be losing against your rivals. And for you, how did that feel as a player at the time, Pat, but also as a fan looking at this game? What's your thoughts? This one feels like a cup final because of the wrongs to put right.
I think the last couple of results, I think Celtic have got a thing to look up to now. I think they don't want to lose again. I think they've got a big, massive point to prove. I think we missed Callum the last time. I think we've got a few fans as well in the stadium. I think they've got a massive point to prove and get into next season. Like they've no beat us 3 times in the one season. We've got a point to prove. Go and scud them again on Sunday and let's move on to next season as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a case we've seen the spin and the narrative, and it is just that. It's just narrative, and it's always the media trying to throw the Daily Record. They put a wee story sort of similar with saying, you know, a dead rubber, but that's just a way for fans to sort of temper their expectations in case they get beat. The reality is they know what it is. They know what a defeat means. The players know what a defeat means. The manager knows what a defeat means. And we've spoken about this time over on the show in the build-up to this. In the past 3 games, Celtic have conceded 3 goals. In terms of goals conceded versus goals scored, we are in the negative. In terms of results, they've got the better at this moment in time in the head-to-head. I say it all the time, I can't recall a season where someone's went on to win the league where one side has had the lion's share of the victories but still lost the league. The chatter is that it'll taint title. I don't see that. I say that it'll leave a foul taste in my mouth. Paddy, I've not had a chance because you failed to be on the last show. Where are you at with this one? I know you're a man that's always up for the game against the Rangers. Dead rubber, meaningless. What is it, mate?
Never against them. Never a dead rubber against them. Not at all. See when it comes down to it, right? See if they do win it and they get the bragging rights of the city and whatever else. Stick it in the trophy cabinet. On you go. I mean, stick it with the ceramics and the bike. You know, Massey, that's it. In there. What have they got this season? They've got nothing. They're out of every single cup. They're done, man. They've had another season with absolutely hee-haw, and they're going on about beating us and doing this and doing that. Fair play. I mean, stick it with the trophies. They've got nothing. For me, I want to beat them every single time I play them. I've said it on here before. I want carnage. I want scarves in the bin and greeting Waynes and everything. I want the full 10 yards. I want that camera to be going round Ibrox at 90 minutes and seeing Wayne's getting consoled by their crying fathers and stuff. You know what I mean? As they throw the season back onto the park. I love it. Did you see Chris Boyd talking about it as well? I watched him and it was, they'll never do it. And it's nice to see, what was it, years ago, when the shoe was in the other foot and they didn't do it and blah, blah. Do you know what? You're never going to get it.
As I says on the show the last time round, I think there's more chance of a guard of dishonour.
Aye.
Barry Brogue.
Exactly. Instead of a guard of honour. Instead of a guard of honour, what they're going to do is play Simply the Best for us, which I think's a cracking tribute.
Exactly.
A wee song for us and they're all going to sing. So that's nice of them.
Turn their backs on the champions as they walk out. I think that's what they'll get, a guard of dishonour. But I mean, see Robert looking at the game of the weekend. It has been a topsy-turvy one. Ultimately, it's a marathon. It's no sprint. Celtic are champions because we've been better more consistently. We've risen against the lesser teams. We did it against Rangers in the first Old Firm, Glasgow Derby, whatever you want to call it, New Firm. Us against them, call it what you will. We managed to get over the line in the cup final. It wasn't vintage, and I think that's maybe the problem. Does it take a wee bit of varnish off the achievement of the league if we don't come out of this with a victory?
I think it might slightly, but I think if I'm the same as Paddy, you know, I want the place to be empty full time apart from us. But
I want to hear the boos though.
But the reality is this is all they've got to play for. Yeah. This is their cup final time. This is their biggest game of the season now. Whereas we've got a cup final coming up. So the only thing that I worry about is that they can be physical and we maybe don't want to be because we've got the cup final coming up. That's my only slight wee doubt.
That was exactly my concern, Robert, as well. I was just going to jump in on that. That I'm worried that one of our phenomenal players, as they all are, gets injured in the wrong way. Like a Jota incident that happened last week. So, you know, we just can't risk that. So do we go too hard and try to go for the hammering, but take that big risk for the final? I don't think it's worth it at the end. Sorry, I keep doing these bloody gestures thing. You know, it's not worth the risk on the to be on the back foot for the final.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in again, but see when you're playing an Old Firm game or whatever it is, Glasgow Derby or whatever they call it these days, players aren't even thinking about that. Players are thinking, I'm going to win this. I'm going to go for this. If it's at Ibrox, even better. If you get a result at Ibrox, you've only got 800 fans sitting in the corner. Listen, you're not even thinking about that. You're going to go and try and win it.
I think the important thing with this game is that, like, when we look at Angie's defeat against Rangers when the league was secured there was a wee bit of sort of changes. There was a feeling of sort of it didn't really matter. You know, we had the better things there, and that was one of those ones that can just pass you by. I've seen some chat on social media, on the radio and that, and sort of saying, out of the two teams, is there any team that are likely to experiment or not take any chances, maybe bleed a player in, reintroduce somebody or things like that? And I don't see any of the two teams. You know, Barry Ferguson's still going to be living in the denial zone that he thinks that another victory over Celtic would be enough to give him a real fighting chance of getting the job, as unlikely as that is. And equally for Celtic, I think we can't afford to have that level of complacency, even with a final in sight and wanting to protect your players. We can't be seen to be giving away, given opportunities. So I think that we'll need to look at it, and it'll be full strength from the off. Obviously, now the fact that we are not going to have Jota, we're going to have Ida going through the front. And Paddy, he does a guy that we've spoke a million times about on here.
Yeah.
Is this the platform for us? Is this the right time now for Ida to kick on? Because he didn't really feature so much in those last times out against Rangers.
Yeah, that's it. He's been a passenger in most of the games against Rangers, as is Nicholas Kuhn, to be perfectly honest. You look at the games against Rangers, Kuhn's not really done much. But like Pat said earlier, having Daizen Maeda on the wing against Tav, like, he'll be shiting himself now, man. He'll be walking up the stairs, looking behind him, thinking Tav's chasing him and stuff. Do you know what I mean? His head will be gone. He'll be stopping at traffic lights and looking in the mirror, and Dyson will be sitting there. It's absolute chaos with Dyson, isn't it? It's just he just gives you that option. He causes an absolute carnage, and then having Big Ida through the middle with a point to prove. Like I said before, his goals to minutes ratio isn't actually that bad, considering what he's played. Now, for me, he doesn't convert enough. We've got goals for everywhere in our team. Callum McGregor this year's piped in with 10 goals. Incredible for your captain, your holding midfielder. Hatate's nipped in there with, I think, 5 or 6. Again, Nicholas Kuhn, Daizen Maeda, both of them with ridiculous amounts of goals. Even Jota's bringing them in. So you're not relying on your striker, but if we were, I don't think Adam Ida would be the one that we need to rely on.
I mean,
on you go.
The performances have been great the past few. We look at the last out in there against Dundee United. It was a wee bit slow for the first sort of 20 minutes, and there was a wee bit of sort of purchase, maybe nerves, because we knew we could get it over the line. There can't be any room for this time round, Joe. I mean, they started off, Rangers have started off quick against us. It might make a difference, as Pat had said. You're going to have some of your guys good turnout fan-wise in the stadium this time round. How important is it for us to do something that we've actually struggled to do the past?
I think that we were touching on Ida there. I think this is actually a defining moment for Ida. I really, really do, because I think that he just has to come out the gate absolutely flying, bring that energy from last week, and make sure that he is there to receive it in the box, because it's quite clear we've got the wingers, etc., to get it there as well, and the likes of Alistair Johnson and Maeda, of course, as well. So the ability is not a problem, but it's where the placing of the ball goes, I think, is what makes a difference with Ida. If it's outside the box, he's no good enough.
That's
inside
exactly
the box. If it's inside the box, he's spot on. So exactly, and it's the instinct that we'd all like to think that we would have, dependent on our abilities of running up and down the pitch, of course. But we know that he's capable of it, so he just needs to come out the gate absolutely sprinting and making sure he chases down every opportunity when it comes.
You look at his performances against Villa and his goals there. Again, 2 totally instinctive goals, absolutely fantastic. Most strikers, I think, wouldn't even have got them. The volley was actually behind him when he managed to get his foot back to get it. So he is a good player. He's a box player. He's a striker. Do you know what I mean? He's one of these guys.
He's a through and through striker.
Old style culture.
Well, we've said that. We've said that we need to sort of accentuate the positives, which is that inside the box, around the penalty area, instinctiveness, and try and hide the negatives or the lacking side of things. Coming deep, try to join up the play, that kind of stuff. See, wrap that one up on this situation there, yourselves, Robert and Pat down the bottom. Celtic have always went with this sort of idea of, if we turn up and play our game, it won't make a difference because it'll take care of itself. Do you think we're likely to see, or should we try and adapt, try and do something different for once? Because Rangers and some other teams have got an idea what Celtic are going to do. Now, I get that if we do it, teams will struggle. But Rangers will have better players than most, no matter what you think of them. Are we likely to see any different approach for Celtic this time round?
I don't know. For me, the only threat, if I can turn that slightly, if the only threat that I see with Rangers is punting the long ball and them turning our centre backs, that's the only danger I see from them. For us, I think if we've got Maeda flying, which he is, I think if we've got Kuhn the right hand side or James Forrest on the right hand side and flying, I think Ida is, like Joe says, I think Ida's in the zone now, and he's a match winner for us. So I don't think there's any need for us to change. I don't know about you, Pat, but
I think if Ida gets the service, I think I would play with Kuhn. I don't know if I'd bring James for the start. I think definitely play with Nicholas Kuhn for the start. With Ida on the other side, big Ida through the middle. And if we get Engels and Callum and all these boys supplying the ammunition for Big Ida, I think we'll
But I agree with you, Steve. I mean, the last 4 or 5 games, 20 minutes before we had 2 or 3 passes together.
Yeah.
You know, and if we do that, we're in trouble there. And then we're up against it. But I don't think we will. I think we'll be on the front foot from the start.
So let's dive in. I'll finish this one up. I hate the predictions, Paddy. Let's start with yourself. I'll start. I've been confident on the other ones, and I'll be honest, despite even the form that we've had past couple of games, I just feel that the balance of the mentality that my job talks about, that fight, that fire, this one is completely different. This one feels like a cup final. It's Barry Brogues, last hurrah, wanting to get one, lording it over Celtic. It feels like a cup final to me. I'll say time over. I think that we've got the better players, and when we play our game better and all that kind of stuff, I think the fans in the stadium will definitely give us a lift and it'll change the dynamic of the game. I think it's going to be a tight one. Am I confident that we're going to go and smash them? No. I think it could be one of these hard-fought 1-0 efforts, if I'm going to say it. I think if Celtic are going to win, I think it's going to be a scrape through. It's going to be like a 1-0 or something. That's me.
Who we want to know? Me? I'll go for... I'm going to go 4-2. 4-2 to Celtic. I always go 4-0, but it's like a rolling joke. Every game comes up, I'm like 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, get it on, lump in. I'm going to go 4-2. I reckon they'll get a couple of goals in them. Like you said, the staunchness will be streaming out of the stadium, won't it? Everybody will be there with the brogues on and the suits, and they'll all be giving it big licks, the chest pumped out and all of the usual stuff. Yeah, so I think they'll be up for it, like you said, and Robert called it there as well. It's their cup final. It's their big game. They've got nothing else to play for. So I'll give them a couple of goals, but I reckon we've got far too much in the locker, and I think we'll absolutely smash them 4-2. That's
Robert and Pat, what's your thoughts? Talk to me.
I'm going to go for a 2-0. I think if Rangers come out and think they can play against us, I think we can really, it could be 2 or 3-0 to Celtic.
Beautiful. Robert, any advance on the twos?
I'm going bold here. I think we're going to win 3-2, right? But I'll go a wee bit further and I'll give you the scorers. I think Ida will score.
Yes.
And I think Joe was on to something with McCowan and that. And I think McCowan will come on and score the winner. 3-2.
Oh, I'd love a wee bit of that.
Yeah. I'd
Joe,
love that.
James Forrest, 5 goals, hat trick.
Of course, no. Listen, I'm going to go very, very bold, I think, with my prediction on the optimistic side. I'm going to go with 5-2.
You are steaming, aren't you?
Absolutely not. But I'll tell you why, right? I'll tell you why. I don't think we can not... I don't want to say the word trust, but I don't think we can believe in Sinisalo enough, if he is in goal, of course.
He will be.
To come away with a clean sheet from it.
Storage.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I can't imagine him coming away with a clean sheet against Rangers when, like Robert said, they've got nothing to lose and everything as well. So I do reckon they're going to get a couple in. But I would like to think that we have the power, the force, and absolutely the players to get the 5 over the line. I think it's going to be a very, very lively match.
Wow.
So I'd love to see that. And of course, as you've already said, I do want to see Forrest get his goal for the 14th consecutive season. I swear to God.
16th, is it?
Phenomenal. 16th, sorry, 16th.
There we go.
Sorry.
Oh, well, aye, plenty to talk about. We'll get, obviously, as we look into Friday, we'll get that Brendan Rodgers press conference and everything else. And if there's anything juicier that, we'll pop up and we'll talk about it. Of course, we'll be here after the event happens, regardless of what the score is. We'll be here to talk about it. Hopefully it's a good one. Listen, thanks to everybody for watching us, where you watch live, where you're catching up. Thanks, of course, to Robert and Mr. Pat McGinley jumping in there, a wee running mid-show. Nice wee pleasant surprise there.
Thank you. He goes to dinner
pleasure. Absolutely, that's it. A man that knows what it's like to turn up and get in about Rangers. So hopefully our boys do that at the weekend as well. So listen, thanks to everybody again. Thanks to everybody there for joining us. Just quickly, actually, before we go, we mentioned it in the passing, but we never really brought it up. This new top, the Adidas deal, the 10-year extension. Somebody looked at that New Balance strip and went, nice, fire some black stripes on that, because it is basically the same tap. It's got a tartan design through it, and that's what we're getting served up. Guys, quick round the houses. Yes or no, Paddy?
Mate, it doesn't matter what it looks like, I'm buying
You'll
it.
buy it. I know you'll buy it. You're Pat. What about yourself, Pat? As a man, like I've always asked this, we've spoken to a couple of ex-players. See, when you were playing, did you take an interest in the top? Did it matter?
No, but I wish I did, because Joe Miller's making a fortune selling all these strips, so I wish I
Tell me,
not
get all the
extra
foot on the
small.
dials to me. I'm always looking to buy taps.
Joe's are always extra small, but aren't they?
Aye, medium. So I don't know if it'd fit me. Do you like that? This tartan thing? Think that was in that.
That's it. The hoops doesn't matter which one.
And yourself, Joe, you bothered? You first?
No, I'm the same. As I said this morning, lads, when we looked at it, I'm not offended by it. So that's the main thing. It's the hoops. I'll buy it. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. Anyway, listen, that is us done for another time. So take care of yourselves. We'll see you after the game. We might even see you before it. Till next time, take care of yourself. And as always,
Thank you, lads.
Hail, hail,